if you are any kind of musician and you want to be a working musician playing live in person, you have to be out there and you have to show up and show your face and
absolutely
just do the thing.
Absolutely. I always say, like, if you want to be a gigging musician, there is a period of time where you cannot say no to anything. I still kind of live by that rule of say yes to everything, because you never know who's going to be out and seeing you. You never know what connection you're going to make. And because I do this agency work now, I've met a ton of musicians in the area that have hired me as like a hired gun for their own personal projects.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, say yes to everything, even if it doesn't pay well. Even if I used to sing to karaoke tracks in a little tiny Mexican restaurant in downtown Indianapolis, and I went from that to doing agency work. It's a game of who you know, but also how willing you are to say yes.
Hey Voxstar, and welcome to From Singer to Artist. I'm Lara Chapman, award-winning singer and songwriter turned viral vocal coach and the host of this show. At VoxTape Studios, we help singers from all over the world level up their voices by teaching them the 3 fundamental skills all singers need: technique, awareness, and artistry. Whether you're looking to go pro or just develop your voice for fun, my team and I are here to help. Check the link in the description to book your first session or grab some of our other resources. Alrighty, are you ready? Let's get started. Today we're going to talk about agency work. And if you're like, what the heck does that even mean? I'm right there with you, my friend. Up until 5 minutes ago, I didn't know that was a thing. Maybe not 5 minutes, maybe last week. But Rachel Beasley is in the studio with me here today. Hello. To talk about agency work. What is it? Is this something that you would maybe be good for? And if yes, what do you need to do to get into it? So thank you, Rachel, for being back here.
Yes,
we did a session previously where we're doing some singing.
Yes, and thank you so much for that.
Yes, of course. If you want to go check that out, click right here, go check it out, because she killed it. She sounded amazing. But today you're here to talk about agency work. You are a full-time gigging musician. How cool is that?
It's awesome. It's what my only goal my entire life. So
Yeah.
I need to dream bigger now, but
Exactly right. It's like, oh my gosh, I achieved my goal.
Now what?
What do I do now?
Yeah.
Right? On to better things.
Yes.
On to bigger things. No, for sure. And I personally always thought that when you want to become a full-time gigging musician, you either have to have your band, and that's just like, that's the band that you play with, and it's always the same bassist and drummer and whatever. Sure, maybe sometimes you have a fill-in, but like, this is your band, and that's the name of the band, and you book the band, right? Or you have to learn how to accompany yourself and, play piano or guitar or something. Because usually people don't want to, listen to a singer that's just singing karaoke, essentially, right? Just singing to tracks. But agency work is different. So tell us, what is agency work?
Okay, so agency work is basically, it's sort of like, if you've ever heard the term hired gun, it's basically like when you come in and you fill in for a band, and no rehearsal, you just show up and play. So agency in the term agency work refers to like a parent company that has a roster of musicians. This company is the one that gets the gig offers from clients, usually for like private parties or weddings or something. And then they go pull from their roster of musicians, put a band together, send out a set list a week before the event, and then you all just show up and play.
So it is very possible that you're playing a wedding with people you've never met before. You've never had a rehearsal, yet you're just killing it on stage.
Oh yeah, I'm doing it tomorrow.
Yeah, that is like the craziest thing. I literally, truly did not know that was a thing until I met you. And I was like, what do you mean you don't know these people? How are you going to...
No rehearsal.
No, like, what? So it's truly like a very impressive skill that all the musicians need to have, including the singer and like everybody else too. Just be like, all right, let's just do it. So how did you get into agency work?
That is a very good question. So I had a mentor in town. Her name is Barbara Ochoa. Shout out to Barbara, who told me that I need to get into agency work and I need to start doing that because that is where the, quote, real money is.
Okay.
I didn't really even know what that meant at the time. And she's teaching me these hand signals and things like that. And I'm like, I don't know when this is going to like be pertinent to me. But sure, like, okay. And then I reached out to a couple local being like regional agencies, like Blue Water Kings is a big one in the Midwest. And then you go and do one of their showcases. And if they like you, then they bring you onto the roster and then they start sending you gig offers.
So showcase is kind of like an audition.
Yeah, exactly. It's when the clients come in and they're able to see like what a Blue Water show would kind of be like. Now, not every agency has showcases. I work for another agency that just saw my resume and was like, "Can you do this gig this weekend?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure."
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, Barbara actually told me that a lot of the times how you get into these agencies is they need someone last minute and you got to be available to go.
Okay.
So that is usually how I get onto these rosters is that somebody heard my name from somebody and they needed a singer last minute and nobody else was available. So, because usually these rosters are stacked with like some really high quality musicians, but if they're all booked, who do you go to?
Yes.
And then they start sending you more gig offers after that if you do well.
If you do well. Yeah. Okay. So you kind of like fell into it. You also didn't necessarily, like that wasn't necessarily your career goal to be like, I want to be on an agency roster.
My career goal was to make a living doing gigs and like doing like being a singer.
Yeah.
And that was definitely the fastest way to it. And I really enjoy doing it.
Let's say you do one of these showcases or you somehow get on these people's roster. Mm-hmm. What do you need to know to do a good job?
So there is definitely some homework that needed to be done. There is like a certain like party band set list, like top 40 set list that you should be familiar with. So these are just like your basic like wedding band playlists. You know, they love September, like Earth, Wind and Fire, Superstition, Play That Funky, Man, I Feel Like a Woman, just like songs that you hear at every single wedding or every single party event that has a dance floor. Yeah. There's around like 50 of them, I would say, and they're ever changing. Like, for example, Espresso came out last summer. So now we all had to know Espresso if you wanted to do one of these shows. Or when Pink Pony Club came out, you had to know Pink Pony Club because no doubt somebody's going to be requesting it for their wedding or for their event. So it is ever changing, but not so much as to you have to like do a bunch of homework every single time you leave for a gig. I've gotten to the point now where I've been doing it for long enough where I don't have a lot of homework before I go to these gigs unless like it's a first dance or like a mother-son dance or they want to open the dance floor with a certain song and close the night with a certain song. That's when I usually have to do my homework. But as far as like the bulk of the set list, I usually just already know it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And you said it's about 50 songs on that
set
list?
It's like rotating 50, 60 songs on that. Like, and there's no like, that's another like hard part about doing agency work is that there is no place where you can like go into Google and be like, what's your average party band set list and just start learning songs. It's just somebody has to give you a list of songs and you have to start learning it from there. And then as you do the work, people will come up to you and be like, do you guys know this one? And you look around and everyone's like, yeah, I know this one. And you realize, oh, I'm the only person that doesn't know that one. Sorry, we don't know that one. But then you go home and you learn that song so that the next time somebody comes up to you, you're like, oh, all of these musicians knew this song. So I have to go and learn this song because I was the only person who didn't know it. And that was really embarrassing.
Yes. Okay. So who makes the set list?
It depends what agency you work for. Everybody does it a little bit differently. For one agency I work for, Louis Patinelli Entertainment, Louis is the one that makes all the set lists and sends it out. For Blue Water, they assign a lead musician every single gig, and the lead musician, who it's usually the singer, makes the set list and sends it out the week before.
Okay. And then you follow that set list unless like somebody goes and requests something. Not really? Okay.
We call it a list of lies. Okay. We try very hard to follow it to a T, but part of being a lead musician is also like feeling out the vibe of the crowd and like for example, you don't know like the demographic of the crowd that shows up. Like sometimes you'll show up to a gig and you have a bunch of like soul and R&B on the set and you realize these people like country music. So now you got to pull out of your country bag, see what the musicians know. Like, hey, do you guys know Man, I Feel Like Women? Do you guys know Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy? Like, can we get like that kind of party going? So you're really just, I always say like being a lead musician, like your number one job is just curating the vibes.
Yes.
And if they're not feeling something you're playing, your job is to be like, okay, they weren't feeling Respect by Aretha Franklin. So maybe let's go a more modern route. Let's maybe do Pink Pony Club instead and see if they're vibing with a more like modern pop. Usually you kind of get that feel before you even walk in, like your producer or whoever is arranging the event will tell you, hey, they want 80s or 90s rock, or they want so-and-so, or they want so-and-so before you even make the set list. So it's usually not like that much of a guessing game. But you do have to like be aware of what you are playing as you are going down the set. Like, are they liking it? Are they dancing to it? Is the dance floor packed? Did people all just leave the dance floor when you started this one specific song? How do you get them back? Sort of situation.
So how does this work then? Like if you make a change to the set list and, you know, you're playing, like there's really not much time between songs to be like, do you know the song? Do you know the song? Do you know the song? Like ask all the different musicians, like, how does this work?
So I'm lucky because most of the time I have another vocalist with me. It's always a male and female vocalist. Okay. Most of the time. Yeah. Or just another vocalist in general. And usually while that other person is singing, I can turn around and be like, do y'all know this? Or sometimes I have this app on my phone. Have you ever heard of the Big app?
No.
It's this app on your phone where basically you can type into this little text box. And I already have something that I called the other day. You type into this like little text box and then it makes it big. And you can like be like, all right, I'm calling. I want to dance.
I didn't even notice. Yeah.
But yeah, and you can make it big. And sometimes I'll like type something on my phone and be like, if I know they know it, I'll just be like calling it like, if it's like a standard, like I Want to Dance with Somebody is a standard. Yeah. Everybody who's ever done agency work ever knows that song. Yeah. So like I don't even have to ask the people that I'm working with if they know it, they know it. Okay. If they don't know it, how did you get this job? Yeah. So like that's one thing where I can type it in and like I just show them like that's what the next song is. Everybody looks at it and they go, and they keep playing. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Oh, I'm getting stressed out just hearing this. I'm like, oh my God, you need to like play and think about the next song already. It's like, too much going on. I
used to be just like that too.
It's practice, right? You just kind of like get used to like, all right, next.
The flow of things.
Yes. Yeah.
A lot of it was just observing. So when I first started out, I wasn't listed as the lead musician super often. I was usually put on with like a vet who was super good at it. I have a friend named Troy who is he can just lead musician down, like and MC down. Usually the lead musician is also like the MC or the host of the evening, making the announcements, announcing speeches, first dances, things like that. And he just has a way of like magnetizing the crowd and like and they are just so like, hanging on his every word. And he is so good at like calling things out like with his Big app like immediately and just having a nice flow of things. And I think that's the hardest thing to learn is just getting the flow and getting the process and not getting bogged down in the I don't know what to do next, because then you can get into that spiral of like, I don't know, what should we do, guys? Like and you have to be the person, like you have to be the captain of the ship, like you have to be the one making decisions and making them fast. And I could see that being very difficult, and it was very difficult when I was starting out. But after observing just like how easygoing a lot of these veterans were with calling out things, it became way more fun and way less stressful.
Okay, good. And now you said you've been doing it for a while. Yeah. So it's very much like, oh yeah, I'm just going to do my job. And this is just what I do. Yeah. How many people are usually in a band? You said 2 singers?
It can be anywhere from 4 to like 14.
Oh, wow.
Depending on if they want like multiple guitars, if they want a full horn section, if they want more than 2 singers, if they want keys, things like that.
Yeah. And how long are the gigs usually?
They can be anywhere from 2 hours to 4 hours, depending on what agency you're working for and what event you're working.
Okay.
And what the budget was.
4 hours. So I'm just doing the math, right? Like 4 hours, but you only have 50 songs.
For example, the gig that I'm on tomorrow, they have a cocktail hour, and then they have a dinner hour set, and then they have 2 dance sets.
Okay.
So that equals 4 hours, and we get a break in between each one. He had sent out a list of, he being Lewis. I'm working for Lewis tomorrow. He had sent out the set list about a week ago. I am not a big jazz cat. I don't know a lot of jazz songs, and a lot of the first 2 sets were jazz numbers because they want like softer, more easygoing music for the cocktail hour and for the dinner hour. But I knew a few of them. The other singer that was on the gig knew a lot more jazz standards, and jazz standards aren't your party band standards. So when I was thinking like 50, 60 songs, I was thinking more so of like the reception party band music. The jazz list is a completely different list that is kind of foreign to me. But so I remember looking at that list and being like, okay, out of the first 2 sets, the cocktail hour and the dinner set, I know about 7 of these songs. So there's a couple of things that you can do. You can do what I'm doing, which is just relying on the male musician to know most of the other sets, because most of the other songs in the jazz set, because they were mostly like Frank Sinatra songs and things like that. Like that would be standard for a male singer.
Yeah.
Or you can throw in audibles. So like, for example, if I don't know Fly Me to the Moon and the other singer doesn't know it, I can turn around and be like, okay, do you guys know At Last? Because that's like kind of a standard by Etta James. And will probably say yes. And then we do At Last instead. Okay. Or you can extend your songs. So using your hand signals. So
yes, let's talk about hand signals. I was going to go into that next. As you mentioned learning hand signals, I'm like, okay, cool. What does that mean?
So hand signals is basically just like exactly what it is. Hand signals to signify to the rest of the band where you are going with the song. Okay. So if I hold up my fist, that's like the main one that they use. It just means the song is ending. Like you can end it on the next bridge or on the next bar. Yeah. If I hold up this, it means, or a V sign, like a peace sign with my hand.
A peace sign.
It means, a V sign. That is actually a V in our world, and it means go to the verse. Okay. If I hold up a C with my hand, that means go to the chorus. Are
you using your left hand for all this?
Either or, whichever one that they can see. Just make sure that they can see you.
Yes.
And there's other ones too that I've never used. Like you can hold up like, it kind of looks like a Scout's Honor sort of thing. It's like this means go to the bridge. I've never used this one before. Okay. There's another one that means like free flowing, just means like the band do whatever, like free flow it, do what you want. Also have never used that one before.
This is like the Hawaiian surfer.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So and it's also
to the top. That's one that we learned.
Oh yeah, top, or sometimes they just like from the top.
Point.
Yeah, just point upwards, or pat your head to the top.
Yeah.
Those are definitely ones that I've used before. But you can use those hand signals to extend or make any song your own. Also something that you can do, and that is encouraged to do. I'm not saying they're time wasters, but because some of these cats are like really good and you want to showcase them a little bit. So let's say like your guitar player is just like this master shredder, throw solos to whoever. Let's say your saxophonist is like super amazing. Like I could be, and I'm a singer and I'm running out of breath and I don't know if I'm going to make it through this bridge. So-and-so on sax, everybody. And then they do an improv solo for a couple of bars. And then you come back into the next part of the song.
Do they ever get caught off guard and like, oh my God?
Oh yeah, sometimes. Sometimes I don't realize like that I'm catching somebody off guard until I do. Yeah. I usually try to turn around and be like pointing at them like, hey, you.
Yeah.
You want a solo? Like, but sometimes it is that like split moment decision where you're like, Mike Needler on guitar, everybody.
But you've never worked with these people before, so you have to remember their names.
Yes, you try to meet their name, meet everybody and get their names before you go on. Not just like so you don't remember their so you you don't forget their names when you're performing, but also just like it's common courtesy. Like try to learn their names and like try to know your
I'm just
musicians
like,
before
when your nerves start kicking in,
Yes.
and maybe it's your first time leading and you're like trying to juggle all these things, and then your mind just goes blank. And I'm like, I don't know the dude's name on the saxophone. What do I do?
And if that happens, hey man, can I get a sax solo? Like you just have to say it like super,
there you go.
Yeah, super showmanly,
Yes.
and like you know what you're doing, kind of a fake it till you make it. Let me get a sax solo, yeah, and then somebody, yeah, exactly.
See, she's smart. She knows what she's doing, Miss Rachel over there.
Yeah.
She knows.
Fake it till you make it.
Yes, yes.
And hopefully get his name after.
Yes, and be like, dude, I totally blanked on your name. I am so sorry.
Right.
Yeah, no, because obviously common courtesy, and also you want to build good relationships with these people too. You never know if you're going to play together again.
Yes, exactly.
Or you want them to recommend you when they're looking for somebody.
I always try to get their social media before I leave, because I am so terrible with names. I'm like good with faces, where I can like show up to a gig and been like, oh, I've been on a gig with him before. What's his name? But I'm really good at remembering names if I have you on social media. Okay. So I try to get everybody's like Instagram or phone number. If I have your phone number saved, I usually remember your name. Like,
yes.
It's just like one of those like mnemonic things that makes it easier to click the next time I see them.
Is there anything else that we need to cover about like what to expect when you're doing agency work?
Yeah. So because the way that I was told you get into agency work was they're going to call you last minute. They're not going to call you for whatever. So you need to have, this is what my friend Barbara Ochoa taught me. She said, you need to have a black dress. You need to have a formal black dress on hand at all times, just in case they called you. And it was like one of those things where I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, it kind of sounds like they're blowing smoke for a second if you've never done it or you've never heard of it before. But she was 100% right. I bought a black dress, and for 2 years, it just sat in my closet. I think I wore it to a wedding as like a guest one time. But for 2 years, it sat in my closet. And then all of a sudden, Blue Water called me and was like, hey, we had somebody drop out for our showcase. You want to come do it? And I was like, yes. And I don't have to stress about what I'm wearing because I've had it sitting in my closet for 2 years. And that is exactly the dress that I wore to the showcase. And I ended up doing well, and they ended up hiring me for more stuff.
Okay. And so do you always wear black for these gigs?
And again, depends what agency you're working for. And it also depends on what event you're working. So for Louis Patinelli, it's usually formal black dress is the dress code for every single event that I've been on with them so far. For Blue Water, they will put in your worksheet what the dress code is.
Okay.
So it'll say like cocktail attire, like girls, black dress, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I recently worked a party that was a 4th of July party, and the dress code was garden party. Okay. So I wore this like blue dress. To kind of fit the theme a little bit more, and everybody was kind of like just slightly more casual than usual. Yeah, like what we would be for a wedding. It really differs. Like, use your best discretion. Like, don't ever show up in jeans. Don't ever like if you're a woman and you're wearing slacks, they better be nice pants. They better not be like stretchy like yoga pants, whatever. Unless you're wearing a dress over it. Use your best discretion. Like if you were attending this wedding, what would you show up in? Yeah. Never wear white. I shouldn't have to say it, but it has happened before. Not to me, but but use your best discretion.
Okay. And
if you don't know, black.
Black. Okay. Yeah. And how far away are those gigs?
They can be anywhere from 15 minutes away. My gig tomorrow is 4 hours away.
Okay.
So it depends where they put you.
Yeah. So let's say I am somebody who's like, I can sing well.
Yes.
And I want to, and I want to get into agency work. Mm-hmm. What can I do right now to hopefully get on a roster somewhere? What do I need to do?
I would look...
Besides getting a black dress.
Yes, exactly. I would, and I know I said earlier in the episode, there's not really a place that you can find this list, but I'm sure there are. Like, search up wedding party playlist and start learning those songs, because that's the first thing they're going to ask you. Like, do you know most of these standards? Like, when I got hired onto the Blue Water roster, they sent me a list of like 75 songs. And he said, do you know most of these? And I said, yeah, I would say there's about like 10 to 15 on here that I don't know already. And he said, great, then you're already on the roster. If those songs that you don't know, don't worry about it too much, but like maybe review them just in case. So I would start learning those party band standards, those top 40 stuff that you would hear on the dance floor if there was a live band, songs. That's the number one thing that I would start doing. Number 2, get a black dress.
Yes.
I don't care if it sits in your closet for 2 years. You're going to end up using it if they call you last minute, and they will call you last minute.
Yeah.
And that's just something that you don't want to be stressing over if you're already stressed about, like, for example, they call you. They said, this is a set list. Do you know it? And you're like, I know most of it. They said, great, you're hired. If you have to stress about what you're going to wear and like how you're going to get there and how you're going to learn all these songs in a couple days, it just gives you one less thing to stress about.
Yes.
So have a black dress or maybe a few on hand, just so you don't have to think about that aspect of it. But I would say number 1, learning the songs for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
And then how can I get into one of those showcases?
Yeah. It kind of is like a who you know sort of situation. So I had been a musician in the area for a couple of years. I had emailed them a few times, and a few times I got responses back, and then I would email them back like my resume and videos and stuff, and then I would get ghosted. It's really hard to get on a roster as a female singer. Like they have enough female singers to last forever. Male singers are what they need.
Okay.
They always need male singers. They never need female singers.
Okay.
So that's why it was so hard for me to get on the rosters. But have a black dress on hand, know your set list. And then your question was, how do you get to the showcase?
Yeah.
Okay. So I had emailed back and forth with them a few times. So they knew my name from that. But also the way that I got onto the showcase was I had a friend who got promoted. And he was like, and so when they were looking for a female singer, he was first person to be like, I think it was actually his gig that he was organizing. And he was like, he called me and he was like, Rachel, I need a singer. Like, are you available? And I was like, yes. So I was able to do it just because I knew the person who was organizing the gig. Yeah.
Well, but that just shows you again, like if you were any kind of musician and you want to be a working musician playing live in person, not online, but in person, you have to be out there and you have to show up and show your face and
absolutely
just do the thing.
Absolutely. I always say, like, if you want to be a gigging musician, there is a period of time where you cannot say no to anything. I still kind of live by that rule of say yes to everything, because you never know who's going to be out and seeing you. You never know what connection you're going to make. Like, and because I do this agency work now, I've met a ton of musicians in the area that have hired me as like a hired gun for their own personal projects.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, say yes to everything, even if it doesn't pay well. Even if I used to sing to karaoke tracks in a little tiny Mexican restaurant in downtown Indianapolis, and I went from that to doing agency work, and it was because I was filling in for my friend Barbara, who taught me how to do agency work. And then when she started doing more agency work, she called me because I was taking these like little tiny Mexican restaurant, and I love that restaurant. Shout out to Mr. Tequila's downtown. I love you guys. I love you guys so much. But yeah, like it's a game of who you know, but also how willing you are to do the work.
Yeah.
And how willing you are to say yes. A lot of people, when they get that last minute call, they get scared and they're like, no, I can't because I don't know the songs too well. I'm like, well, you have a couple days to learn them. Go ahead and learn them. Yeah. Don't be
if you
scared.
say no, they're not going to ask again.
Exactly. I have coworkers at the music school that I work at, where they have this amazing acoustic quartet.
Okay.
And they're so good. And I love seeing them perform, but they only perform like for friends. And their main thing is they keep on saying they're not ready. And I know, I'm like, the thing that I always tell my students, and even them who are professional musicians with music degrees and everything, I tell everybody, you're never going to be ready. You just have to start doing it.
Yes.
Like you're never going to be ready. You just have to say yes. So don't be afraid. Say yes and think about the how later. Like, because you will figure it out once it's on your schedule.
And that's the best way to learn too. Like just by doing it, not by learning about it, but rather by just doing it.
Absolutely.
I have one more question for you, because it's like, yeah, just do it. Just go learn the songs.
Yeah.
Do I have to memorize all those songs?
No.
Okay.
No. Oh my gosh, no. I would say be familiar enough with them to where if you had the lyrics in front of you, you'd be able to sing it no problem.
Oh yeah, but you don't have to like read the lyrics.
Yeah, I was gonna
it's just
say,
kind of like, oh yeah, that's the next one. I can
know that
go.
your primary job is to be a showman. If you are a singer in one of these bands, you're a performer first and a singer second. So don't be sitting there staring at your lyric sheet, reading off of it. Know your lyrics enough to be able to walk away for a second or two and have fun, make eye contact with the audience, like do a little dance with the saxophone man, like do like whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Don't be heavily reliant on your lyrics. But you do not have to know everything word for word. Oh God, no.
Okay. I love what you said. You're a performer first and a singer second. I'm going to take that piece of information and put it to the forefront of my brain and tell that to everybody I meet. That is so important because, yeah, it's okay if you have your iPad, your iPhone, whatever, there and you're reading the lyrics, but you don't want to like just reading it. Right. And like you're dead on the face.
Right. And people say, well, how do you become a good performer? You do it.
You do it.
You say yes a lot and you do it a lot until you get more comfortable. And then that like level of comfort that you have after you've been doing it for a while translates to the audience. And then, but it's okay if you don't start at Michael Jackson levels.
Absolutely. Of being a performer, like start where you're at and get better and then hopefully get noticed by agency people and get on the roster. Very cool. Anything else, Rachel, that we need to talk about?
Have a good attitude. There are a lot of times where I show up and sometimes the cats have been playing for far too long in the same scene and they just have this like I'm better than this attitude sometimes. And that can be really off-putting to work with.
Yeah.
And you might be the best in the room, but if you have a bad attitude, then I'm not putting you as one of the musicians that I want to be working with. Yeah. I'd rather take like a lesser player with a great attitude than like the best player in the room with a bad attitude.
I always say that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so easy to replace you.
If everyone is replaceable.
Yeah. If you're not a good person to work with or easy person to work with, we'll pick somebody else.
Absolutely. Okay. It's so true. It doesn't matter how good you are.
Yes. Everybody's replaceable. Sorry.
Yes. Oh, and it's so true.
Thank you for filling us all in about this agency work.
Oh my God, I love doing it.
Like now that I know about this, I was like looking at another friend of mine. Like she was also on the podcast, Jackie Foster. She was on The Voice a couple years ago, and so she was on the podcast talking about her story there. And I saw her like performing, and I was like, these are different people every time. I bet you she does agency work. Like now I'm like, oh, this is actually really a thing. And now I can spot it. Before I was like, oh, she has a wedding band.
Right.
And she plays with them. Like, no, that's agency work.
The amount of times that like somebody at a party or at a wedding will come up to us and be like, your band is great. Like, can I get your guys' info? And we're like, yeah, so about that, I actually don't know half of these people, and we have to explain to them like, yeah, we're Blue Water, we're Louis Patinelli, like we're part of the agency. But if you like the musicians you see, say that you were at Sierra and Joe's wedding and you loved those musicians and you want them because they'll be able to look back and send the gig invite to us first. But yeah, the amount of times that happens, I still to this day never know what to say. Like, you guys are phenomenal. Can I get your band's info? Or like, do you guys have Instagram? Yeah. So like about that, like, and it has to like go into a 5-minute long explanation of what we actually are.
Do the agencies have like social media presence?
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
And they also have like business card policy. So like you can't promote your own person. Like for example, like if somebody really liked me, like they're like, oh my gosh, you're phenomenal, but we love your band, like can we get your social media? I wouldn't be able to be like, oh yeah, and like if you want to book my band, you can book the Indigos at blah blah blah. Like I would have to be like, yeah, like this is like I'll give you Blue Water's information, or I'll give you Lewis's information, and then if you want me again, you can ask them for me.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's policy.
No, that totally makes sense. Yeah. Like as a businesswoman over here, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. And if you give them your personal stuff, you better hope that nobody finds out.
Oh, you're going to be fired.
You're fired.
Yes.
You're never getting a gig again.
Yep. Very cool. Thank you so much, Rachel, for sharing all of this with us. And if you have any questions, ask Rachel. She knows, she has the answers. I do not. So I'll be sure to link to your, what do you want me to link to? Your socials?
Yeah, absolutely. At Beasley_Rachel is my Instagram handle. At Rachel Beasley Music on TikTok.
Perfect.
You know, my name's Rachel Beasley.
Yes.
You can find me.
Yes. Find her. Google her.
Yeah.
She'll show up. I love it.
And then all my projects are listed in the bios too. So
because so you do agency work, then you have the Indigos and other bands.
Yep.
What else do you have?
I have an acoustic duo, Honey and Hutch, with my boyfriend, Derek Hutchinson, who's also a master guitar player. He has his own teaching program.
Honey and Hutchinson.
Yes, you get
I'm
it.
just getting that now. Oh my God, I have a slow fuse.
And I used to be blonde, and people used to call me Honey, so that's why.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
Exactly. People like to come up to us and say, which one's Honey and which one's Hutch?
And that's what you're doing tonight,
exactly.
right?
Yes, that's what I'm doing tonight.
Yeah, so I have to let you get on the road so you can get to your gig in time.
Appreciate you.
Well, of course. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, anytime.
And thank you guys for tuning in. If you have any questions about, what is it called? Agency work, reach out to Rachel. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next episode. Alrighty. Bye, everyone.